Next up, we have the wonderful, lovely, beautiful AP Young or Alicia Young. She is a blogger and entrepreneur who uses her platform to teach patient advocacy, mental health, and wellness, navigating life with a disability, and the importance of confidence at any size. AP, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. You make me sound so lovely. I appreciate it. Hey, you guys. Like Tamara said, my name is Alicia. I'm most known by AP, and I'll let you guys in on a little secret. AP stands for Alicia Patrice. That is my first or my middle name. A lot of people try to guess. They're like, April. Nope, it's Alicia. So first of all, thank you guys so much for having me, inviting me to this chat. I think it's really important. Plus size wellness revolution is something that is definitely needed. So I'm just going to start by giving you guys a little bit of background about myself. I'm 36. I am married. I have 3 children. My oldest is 18 and she just graduated, and I'm like dying on the inside still. And I have a 13-year-old who has Tourette syndrome and is on the spectrum. And my youngest is 4. He'll be 5 next month. And he's just a handful. But they make my life exciting. They also make my life feel very full. And I'm very fortunate to have a husband who does the same for me. I got my start in blogging, don't tell anybody, in 2006 on MySpace. MySpace used to have a part of their platform where you could blog, and that's where I kind of got started sharing my thoughts. I'm a poet, so I was writing poetry. And there were so many things on MySpace happening. So then I moved on and I went through multiple platforms until I arrived on WordPress. And at first, my blog was really focused on my mental health journey. So I am a person who has been diagnosed with PTSD, major depressive disorder, and anxiety. And it's been a part of my life since I was 9 years old. Yes, I've had a very traumatic life, but that's okay. This is what happens sometimes. But I started using my blog to navigate that space. And at first I was anonymous because I did not see the importance of putting a face, I guess, to the story. But as time went on, I did decide to share my face. And of course, that opened up the doors to people understanding that AP is fat. Yes, I am. So for a while, fashion was not a part of anything that I did because honestly, I didn't feel like fashion was for me or bodies like me. And then one day my husband sent me, I think it was Chastity Garner of Chastity Garner Styles page. It was like on Facebook, and he's like, oh, you should check her out. She wears the same size clothes as you. And through that, I got the education that, oh, there are plus size bloggers. There are women out here who look like me. And I was completely enthralled and thrilled with that and empowered and motivated by that. And so I slowly started adding fashion to what I did because I love clothing. Even if I didn't feel like fashion was for me per se, I loved getting dressed. I love how getting dressed makes me feel. As much as I love sweatpants and yoga pants and all those things, I love being fly as well. And so as I entered into that blogging space and started adding fashion, my platform began to grow. I did not think it was going to grow the way that it did, but it did. Just by me showing up at events and going places and connecting with people. But along that journey, I started having some serious health issues, and I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease which attacks the thyroid. And apparently, I had it all my life and just didn't know because, well, when you gain weight when you're younger, doctors don't tend to explore it as being a symptom. The immediate thing is, what are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you doing all the things you're supposed to do? So before the age of 13, I had been on Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, Jenny Craig, and I even began to develop an ED. And I was an emotional eater, binge eater, hiding in secrecy to eat because I had been made to feel really bad about myself. Now, here's the kicker. So many of us here have said, oh, I've grown up fat. Well, the reality is I wasn't even fat until I was about 12 or 13. Prior to that, what it was a lot of unwelcomed and unsolicited opinions from family members, friends of the family, making commentary about my body. when I look back at my pictures and I see myself at 7 or 8, I'm like, why did I think I was fat? Why was I dieting? Like, I wasn't. I was tall, but people were, "Oh, girl, you gotta watch them thighs." I will never forget going to a party. There was like grab bags, and you could grab candy and stuff. And I grabbed just as much candy as the rest of the kids. And the young girls, I was like, "You better watch that, girl," and it stuck with me for a very long time. Now, as Emma Pound Cake said, I grew up in a family of fat people. My mom is fat. Most of the matriarchs in my family were fat. Um, and I never looked at them any differently for being fat, and I didn't care that they were fat. Unfortunately, the revolution that many of us are getting to experience today was not always that way. And so my mom was not the person that I learned my self-esteem from. She was not the person who was able to educate me on fat phobia, because she herself was a victim of fat phobia in the way that she viewed herself. So now at the ripe old age of 63 or 64, I believe oh no, I'm lying. She's like 67. She is learning now from me how to experience that revolution. So I'm really grateful that I'm alive during a time where this is even possible. Um, when we talk about confidence, everybody has their own interpretation of what confidence is. So if you guys could just drop down below for me what your interpretation of confidence is, I would love to see that. But the Webster's Dictionary is, their definition of confidence is a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. Now, the thing that I love about that definition is the self part, right? The self assurance of our own abilities and things we're able to do. A lot of times, we don't have the confidence that we desire or want because we lack that ability to appreciate our own abilities, whether it is something physical, whether it is something emotional or mental. I can tell you right now, dealing with mental health has been quite the journey. I have been in a psychiatric hospital. I have been on medication. I have been through therapy. And I got to tell you, at the moments where I don't feel mentally stable are the moments that I think I've seen my confidence be the most effective. So the most important thing for me was to find my footing with my mental health. That was really important. Then when it moved on to the physical aspect of things, we talked earlier with Chazzy about movement and things like that. I've always been a person who moved around. I defied doctors' vision of what fat people should be. For years, I got told, you need to do this, you need to do that. And they would run the tests, and the test would not say I had high cholesterol or diabetes, and they would be frazzled and frustrated because it's like, whoa, no, that's not possible, but it is. And I attribute a lot of that to my movement. No, I was not skinny. I was 350 pounds for a long time, but I had movement and I was happy and I was not in pain. So therefore, I didn't see the need anymore to try to force myself into a smaller body. Unfortunately, I experienced, and I'm going to give a trigger warning now, 8 miscarriages. And throughout those years, my hormones were shifting, my weight was going up and down, and I did start to feel really bad because the doctors kept telling me, it's because you're fat. It's because you're fat that you lost your baby. So the last experience with that was in 2014. It was devastating. I was about 4 months along, I believe, 4.5 months along when I lost my baby. And I had to have surgery. And they told me right then and there, you will not have any more kids. They put me on Depo, and they told me, like, you really need to lose this weight in order to, have a healthy lifestyle. And I felt everything inside of me crumble and fall apart. And in that moment, I lost my confidence for a long time. The following year, I decided to do something I would never suggest to anybody ever again. I won't even tell you what it was, but it was diet culture related. And I was able to lose 20 pounds. And I didn't feel great because this was the first time in my life in a long time that I had peaked into the 400s. So I was really letting that number on the scale get me down. But then later in the year, I found out I was pregnant with my last child. And I felt like, wow, like I'm able to have this last baby. Of course, there was a lot of anxiety through that pregnancy because of, you're fat. This is going to be bad for you. And I successfully brought my last child into this world in July of 2016, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. But that is also where things began to fall apart for me physically. It's like my thyroid just said, "We're done now. You got this baby here." Turns out thyroid disease can affect your ability to have children. And so instead of anybody ever testing me to see if I had thyroid disease or anything like that, they just kept telling me it was weight. So after the removal of my thyroid, we found out I had a congenital birth defect called hip dysplasia. And on top of that, I had it so bad that I had developed osteoarthritis in my left hip. And I suddenly needed to use a rollator. I suddenly was not myself anymore, because now not only was I at my largest because the weight got up there for me, I was also disabled and I was not in a place where I was confident. It took the last 5 years for me to really like pull it together and decide that it's a privilege to move my body, even if it is with limited mobility. It's a privilege for me to be able to get up and raise my children, even though I'm doing it in a fat body. It's a privilege for me to be able to find love and a happy marriage. My husband and I have been together for 16 years. And let me tell you, I've been fat the entire 16 years. And to have a mate who loved me and supported me through all of that and did not care. And I really had to look at my blessings for what they were, blessings. It's a privilege. And so I feel like seize the day. Why not enjoy the privilege of movement? Why not enjoy the privilege of love and family and honor those things by how I carry myself? At my highest weight was the first time I threw on a crop top. And it was the most liberating experience of my life. Did people on the internet make fun of me? Absolutely. I was made into a meme more than a couple times. I saw my picture on pages. People were sending me stuff. And for the first time in my life, the God's honest truth was I did not care. And that, more than anything, was the best feeling in the world. Is it easy to build up your confidence? Absolutely not. But is it worth doing? Yes, it is. I don't believe that confidence building is linear. There are ups and downs to this. So you are going to have days where you feel absolutely fantastic. And then you're going to have days where you're going to hit your lows. But if we keep our emotional and our mental health balanced, right? If we're going to therapy, doing the talking, doing the exercises our therapists tell us to do for our mental health, if we're being honest, if we're taking the medication, if that's what we're supposed to do, it helps that recovery time to go by a lot quicker than it would be if you're trying to do it all on your own, trying to just suffer through it. You don't have to. And once I found that my mental health and my emotional health were getting the care that it needed, it made it easier for me to get to the physical aspect of my wellness. And let me tell you something, for a long time, wellness did not belong to me as far as I was concerned. Despite the fact that my lab work said I was great, my body said something different to a lot of people. So when I thought wellness, I thought thin white women jogging in the commercials, drinking their smoothies, doing the things, they're coming out of yoga class. And I didn't see that for myself until I started doing it for myself. Now, I know this is going to sound like an oxymoron, but I am literally preparing for weight loss surgery within the next month or so. It was not something that I wanted to do. However, in the state of Georgia, to get a hip replacement, you have to be a certain weight. And in order for me to get one expediently, weight loss surgery was the quickest answer. Throughout this process, I've lost 60 pounds. And boy, let me tell you, everybody comes, they want to, oh, so great, you're losing weight, you blah, 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 right? They say all the good things, but in my mind, I'm like, I looked great 60 pounds ago. I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you. But it has been hard. It's been hard to manage my confidence through this process because the God's honest truth is I reached a place where I'm completely 100% comfortable with how I look, and I know shortly that's going to change. So as Chazzy pointed out, that 100-pound weight loss did not fix for her confidence issues, her self-esteem issues. That is very much the way that I feel about my own weight loss journey. In fact, I'm more fearful of the fact that I'm going to lose that confidence once my body begins to shift. So in order to maintain my sense of self-worth and my confidence, I go to therapy. And again, like I said, that mental health, that emotional, that physical, all those things go together. Someone else earlier mentioned about eating and removing the gluten from their diet and things like that. I did not think of food the way that I should have, that it's fuel and it's a way to nourish the body. I had to really get with adjusting my view and my relationship with food. Through this process, I've been able to enjoy exploring fruit and veggie based meals and protein based meals that aren't necessarily meat, because I learned through doing something called the AIP protocol, which is an elimination diet where you find out what triggers your inflammation. I learned that beef and pork were not kind to my body. They literally send my joints into like inflammation mode. So I've had to adjust my eating, not to lose weight, but for just how my body feels. And I think the importance in learning that eating, movement, as Chazzy pointed out earlier, the foods that we take in, it should not be about, will this help me lose the most weight? No, because again, at 443 pounds right now, I just got lab work back. My endocrinologist is losing her mind because my A1C was 4.5, and she was just so convinced I was going to have diabetes that she's been trying to push this drug on me to help me lose weight. And I'm like, sis, is it not enough that I have to go through weight loss surgery? Like, leave me be. Because at 443 pounds, I am my most active in my life, more than I've ever been, because I stopped viewing movement and exercise as a punishment. And I've literally learned to enjoy it. When I get on that bike, it makes me feel like I am sky high because I'm moving, which is something that had become really difficult for me with arthritis. And now I'm able to do it. It's building up strength and I feel good. And that has been building my confidence. And then fashion is just the icing on the cake, because it's like throwing an accessory on top of what already feels good. A lot of people don't understand the connection between fashion and confidence. A lot of people feel like, well, I don't have the confidence to wear that. I get that all of the time. But let me tell you something. If you challenge yourself just a little, even if it's wearing something sleeveless, wearing spaghetti straps, showing the arms, like, look, y'all see this. It's there. All right. It's going to swing whether I put on a 3/4 length sweater or not. So I'm not finna die in Atlanta weather because my fat jiggles. If you just learn to start thinking about things in a way that makes sense, meaning let's stop worrying about what other people think about our bodies and really start talking to yourself about, what do I think about my body? And it might be a really good thing to explore whether or not a lot of your issues come from within. Oftentimes, we may find that we've internalized what other people have said to us so much that we begin to believe it, but it doesn't make it true. And having a conversation with Tamara the other day on live, just realizing like a lot of what we take in, we can leave most of it behind. But my responsibility is not to other people about what they think about my body. My responsibility is to myself. So while some of you may not think that fashion or beauty have anything to do with anything, it does, because a lot of times we feel good when we look good. That's just a fact. It's just the reality. Does that mean that every day you have to put on a full face? No. It could just be putting on your favorite loungewear outfit. But if it's cute, you might feel better because it's a cute loungewear outfit as opposed to a holy t-shirt. And if that holy t-shirt is what makes you feel good, put it on. The thing about confidence is it does not have any one which way to build it. And what works for one person may not necessarily work for other people. So that's when people come to the comment section and they're like, oh, I wish I had your confidence. No, I always tell them, no, I wish you had your own confidence, because what builds my confidence is not going to be the same for you. So I really encourage women to explore what makes them feel their best. What makes you feel like, oh, I'm on top of the world? What makes you feel really good about yourself? When I think about my abilities, I think in terms of, man, I'm raising 3 children, 2 of whom are on the spectrum, and they're doing great. They're thriving, and that feels good. That's an ability that I feel assured about. Does that mean that every waking moment of my life that is easy? No. As somebody pointed out earlier, Chazzy, raising teenagers, it's a whole new level of help. No, let me not say that. But it's definitely a challenge, and it's definitely something that will build your confidence. Even my marriage, my relationship with my husband, the growth that I've had the ability to see within the last 16 years of our relationship and 12 years of marriage, my ability to speak up, my ability to communicate, our ability to communicate with one another has grown. Those are things that I feel confident about. Everything does not have to be tied to your physical being. I think that we need to look at it holistically. I think it all goes together. Mind, body, emotion, all go together. So if one is not right, it can throw the other off. And then in turn, that will throw the other one off. So when we're talking about confidence, build it from all aspects, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And I feel like that would make the confidence journey a lot more effective for so many of us if we stopped limiting it to just how we look and our size. And let me tell you something, that number on the scale, I shared it on Instagram a couple of weeks back, and people were like, oh my God, you're 443 pounds. Why would you share that in public? Some people were like, well, Dag, how'd you get that big? I mean, the responses were crazy, but for the most part, they were really encouraging, because then other women came forward and said, oh my God, I weigh the same amount, or I weigh a little bit more, a little bit less. Can I just tell you how encouraging it is to see you out here on your bike, or wearing the crop top, or using your cane, or using your motorized scooter? Showing up gives me confidence. Showing up and being able to provide that representation for women like me, who are maybe dealing with disability, who are maybe dealing with weight as an issue, or maybe dealing with health issues, being able to show up in those spaces means the world to me. And to know that even if I can just touch one person, that it matters, that also builds my confidence. So use your journey, use your story to help build your confidence, because believe it or not, what you've gone through, someone somewhere has gone through it, and maybe they just need to hear it from a person like you. So there are many facets and many ways to build confidence, but I do hope that however you choose to build your confidence, you look at it as a holistic journey, and one that affects more than just your physical looks. I'm going to leave it here, and if you guys have any questions, feel free. I'm reading the comments right now.
Yes, AP. You guys give some love to AP in the comments. Give some love to her and that beautiful. Are you wearing a dress? Is that a dress?
Yeah, it's from Zia and Co.
It's so pretty.
Thank you.
Oh my God. And I love your earrings too. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, yay. Look at all the love. Any questions for AP, you guys? Any questions about confidence, style, holistic approach, and even living with disability, anything at all? Oh, Tara wants to know where you shop, girl.
Everywhere. So I'm gonna be honest. Shopping got tricky and can get expensive. I'm sure we all know, because as plus size women, they love to throw that fat tax on everything. So I will run it down. I actually have a blog post called 15 Places to Shop Extended Size. I try to update it regularly. So eShopee is a great one because it's customizable. They go up to a size 36. Universal Standard, I have not shopped them. I'm thinking about it. A little bit pricey, but they have great basics. Tara Lynn Boutique, I love shopping with her. D&Co, I have a partnership with. Old Navy, surprisingly, has great plus size options right now, and they run a little bit big. So I normally wear 28, 30. Sometimes I'm able to wear 3X from Old Navy. So you guys might want to check that out. Ashley Stewart, Torrid. Torrid is a really big one. I know I have like this love-hate with Torrid, but I do shop with them. I also love my indie designers, Christian Omishan, who I actually got to model for you guys in her recent campaign, which was awesome. And she's in Atlanta. RCLX Universe, she's also an Atlanta designer. Lorenza James by Dove, also an Atlanta designer. You guys see the trend here. I definitely try to support small Black businesses, Black designers, especially ones that make clothing for my body. Reb Dolls, not really expensive. Wouldn't say for the long wear, but if you're just trying to be cute, you know, you're trying to get your thigh and your bop on, that might be a great place. Walmart, Target, you name it, like Amazon fashion. Read the size charts though. I've been duped a couple of times thinking that something was a 5X and it really was a 2X. But I will pretty much shop anywhere that will have me. As long as the measurements align with my measurements, I will shop it.
Yes. You guys be sure to grab AP's links, her Instagram and her blog where she lists all of those places where she shops. I know I am subscribed to everyone's blog on here.
I saw you the other day. Thank you so much. And I'm reading through the comments about the knee surgery. Someone said they had, someone said they were being told they were fat constantly. I just want to speak specifically to the disability aspect of things. First of all, let me just tell you, I love you, because I know how hard that journey is. Two, love yourself, be kind to yourself, show yourself grace. Um, right around the time that my body started to tell me, like I started growing a goiter. I'm not sure if you guys know what a goiter is. It's when your thyroid gets enlarged, and it was huge. So I started to be really self-conscious about my neck. Um, and around that same time, I didn't know that with thyroid disease, it causes joint problems. So I started to have like swelling in my hands, much like RA. Um, and when my hip started to go on me, I knew something was off. After the doctor told me, A, you need to get a placard, a handicap placard for your card. It took me a year to do it. They told me you need a cane. It took me a year to do it. Then they told me you need a rollator. It took me about 6 months to do it because I was not ready. I kept assigning like this value, this worth to, oh my God, like I can't move my body the way I used to. And then the biggest thing was, oh my God, I'm fat with a disability. People are going to think I have it because I'm fat. That was my biggest hang up. Let me tell you, my husband fussed me out because we went to Walmart. I'm walking around struggling, leaning on the cart, crying, sitting in the pharmacy department, and he's like, Alicia, just go get the Mark cart. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And he was like, so you rather sit here and struggle in pain than you would go sit in this Mark cart, because I was so consumed with being the fat person that people saw as this, oh, I gotta feel sorry for her. How she let herself get like that? The first time I rode in that Mark cart, I was terrified. I had panic attacks. You guys, I had recently had only started going back out into the world right at the end of 2019, and then the panorama happened, and then it was like a whole year of being in the house basically. But I was able to get a motorized scooter, and now I ride that thing everywhere. You can't tell me nothing. I love whipping up and down the aisles of Michael's, and I'm going to do my stuff with my do-it-yourself projects. I love going into the store because it doesn't matter. Because you know what the most important thing is? Like, I'm comfortable. I'm not crying in pain. I'm not suffering because I'm doing what I need to for my body. The same with mobility aids. The biggest thing that I get from the ladies that I talk to is they're nervous. They're ashamed to be seen with it. So what I always like to tell people is, why be ashamed of the things that are designed to help you still be mobile? Why be ashamed of having aids to help us be comfortable? We don't laugh at people who wear glasses, do we? No, we do not. We're not laughing at the person who's going to go get chemo because they have cancer. So why would we be concerned about having to use the mobility aids? Disability is the one marginalized area of life that anybody can join that club at any given time. Okay, so having a disability, while society can definitely make you feel like, because access is really a thing, and especially if you're in a larger body, being limited by mobility and size, I get it. I understand why that lack of access can make you feel like you don't deserve the things, but baby, you deserve all of the things. You deserve to live happily, even if that means in your scooter, your cane, your rollator, whatever it is that is assisting you. If you need it, get it. Because disability should not stop you from living your life to the fullest. And while does that mean that the quality of life might change for you in some ways? Yes. But if you have the privilege to still be living your life, live it. Please live it.
Yes, amen.